I'd like to welcome you to the third chapter of the book of James. It begins, as you can see, about the tongue. It's a subject. Mi poli didascali ginesthe, adelphi mu, idotes oti mizon krima lipso metha. Let there not be many teachers, didascali, we have didactics, science of teaching, didactic, intended to instruct, or the English derivatives. Let there not be many teachers. Adelphi mu, Adelphia, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Derivative, knowing that we shall receive a greater judgment. A crime is a judicial action. It's a derivative in English. So it's a warning to being people that are teaching that they're going to receive a greater judgment, especially if they're teaching things that God says to do or not to do, and they do the opposite. Teach them what they're supposed to do. It's okay. You can go ahead and do that. The Bible doesn't really mean what it says. It has errors in it, and we find loopholes. There was a study, not a study, there was a story of, if you were listening to this, if you know who W.C. Fields was, he was an actor and an alcoholic, famous drinker, and he was on his deathbed, and his best friend was John Barrymore, and other friend Douglas Fairbanks. They're all drinkers in Hollywood and well known for their escapades, and so John Barrymore came in to see W.C. Fields in the hospital, and he saw him reading a Bible. And Barrymore said, W.C., he says, I've known you all your life, and you're not a Bible reading man. How come you're reading a Bible right now? And W.C. Fields looked at him and he says, no, just looking for loopholes. And loopholes, a lot of teachers give. They tickle the ears of the listener, the people that are looking for the right thing for themselves, and to teach the things that are of God that don't go along with the norm are very difficult. And I believe this is one of the main things about teaching that the Bible addresses. Now, the teachers are sinners just like anybody. They fall into different vices, to different lures, just as anybody else does. They're human, and that's bad enough, and they're going to receive a judgment. But here I see that possibly the judgment has more to do on dealing with the teaching than the personal behavior of a teacher. Although there are a lot of ministers and priests and various rabbis and people in high authority in the sphere of religion that have been found wanting and have fallen. And again, it could be referring to that. Pola, verse 2 begins, Gar, pateo men, apantes, itis en logo u patei, utos telios anir, dinatos, halinagogise, ke olontosoma. For many times we were at fault altogether, apantas. We have the pan is all, and apan is altogether, even more so. For we are many times at fault altogether. If any in logo word, we have that word for the logos in English. If any in word is not at fault, this one is a perfect man. Dhinatos, dynamic, dynamite, or the derivatives, able to bridle even his entire body. Olon, rather. We have the derivatives Catholic and Holocaust, and soma, we mentioned before, somatic, chromosome, psychosomatic, soma. He's able to bridle his entire body. And then verse 3, Ide ton epon tus halinus is ta stomata volumen prosto pitheste avtus emin ke olon to soma avton metagomen. And James says, see, and then we'll jump around these numbers. We put to the 3 bits, 4 and 2, 5, 6, the mouths of the epon, the horses, hippopotamus, it's a river horse. Where we put volumen, ballistics, is a derivative in the stomatic, and we mentioned that already. So we put these bits in the mouth of horses for them to comply to us. And we lead around their olon soma, their whole body. So man is able to put a little piece of metal in a horse, and the horse will comply and even go into war and be killed because they're led around by the human nature. In verse 4 it continues, Idhu ke ta plia tilikavta onta ke iposkleron anamon elavnomena metagate ipo elakistu pidaliu opu an iormi tu evthenontos vulite. And then he changes also, and behold, also the boats being so great, and by harsh anemone, we have anemophilus, pollinated by wind, or anemone is the windflower, by harsh winds being driven around. These boats, in those days there were sailboats, they weren't motorboats of course, and all they're either sail or they were being rowed, or both. And the winds, when they hit the sails or the boat, would push them around, especially if they're under sail. And they are led about by the least size pidaliu. We have a pedal is an English derivative, and a pedal is something that helps in guidance or movement of something. And here it says it's a rudder in a boat. I had sailboats for years, so I know all about the experience of sailing with a rudder. And you have a tiller that attaches to the rudder. The rudder is sort of a long plank that sticks down in the water, maybe 4 or 5 feet under the boat, under the stern of the boat. And then attached to the rudder is a tiller. And a tiller is a yoke piece of wood that is drilled through goes around the top of the rudder. And when you pull the tiller towards yourself, if you're sitting on the left-hand side of the boat, you pull it to the left, then the boat will go right. And if you push it away from you, the boat will go left. And if you get into this wind, when you're sailing into the wind, which a sailboat can do, you get into a groove. In that groove, you just slide right into it, and you can hold that tiller with a 20 or 30, 40-foot boat with your 2 fingers, your thumb and your index finger, and you can just barely touch that rudder and keep that boat right in that groove, and that boat will just be zooming right through the water, cutting waves. And very easy to steer this giant boat with 2 fingers. It's amazing. And it says, where even the thrust of the one straightening wills it to go. And then verse 5, Uto ke I glossa mikron melos esti, ke megalavki, idhu oligon pir ilikin ilin anapti. And so also the glossa, the tongue, is a small, micro is the derivative, member, melos, melodrama, melody has to do with a member. And so the tongue is a small member, and it brags. Behold, a little fire How a little fire should, basically it's inferring that how, behold, how a little fire, oligarch, uh, ruler of by a few, oligarchy. A little peer should be highlighted, pyromania. How a little fire, how much material it lights. So he's going more or less back up with before about the horse and the bit in the horse. The bit is just a small thing that can cause this huge animal to do it at once. Or it could be a little bitty tiny rudder that can drive a huge ship that has 200 or 300 people in it in those days, or a little bitty fire that you light with today would be a match. It could burn a forest. And the tongue, it's also a small member, so here's how he's referring to it. In this place here, the tongue is a member, it's a part of our body. The tongue, the glossa, will be doing the word on the word pamphlet on it soon. I'm working on it, and when we finish it, you'll see the different usages of this word glossa, how it's in some places it's tongue, in other places obviously talking about speech, just speech in general, how talking, speech, the speech of a person, and then other places it has to do with the language, the speech of certain people, speaking Hebraisti, Hebrew, or Latin, Romanisti. And then it also talks about the tongue as a wedge shape, tongue-shaped, wedge shape, as the tongues on top of the heads of the holy ones in the upper room on Pentecost. And we'll be going through that in that book. As soon as we get it out, it'll appear up on our website under the video seminars. Ke glossa pir o cosmos tis adicias, utos e glossa kathistate, en tis melicine imon, e spilusa olontosoma. And the glossa, we have a glottis, is many times in the Greek the sigma, and the double sigmas are double tavs for some reason. It would be glossa, glotta. Some manuscripts have them spelled one way and others have them spelled the other. And glossal pertains to the tongue. It's an English derivative. Glossary, a list of terms, or a glossolalia, non-meaningful speech or aesthetic speech, or a gloss, a word inserted for explanation. And the tongue is fire, pyromania again, the cosmos, the world of unrighteousness. Thus, the glossa is placed among our members. So we are given a tongue. And it's staining olon, the entire soma. Again, we had those words earlier. Ke phlogizusa ton trokon tis genesios. Ke phlogizomeni ipo tis genis. And blazing the whirlwind, the trokon. We have a troche is a medicinal lozenge tablet, a trocho, prefix for wheel. Blazing the whirlwind of the creation, the genesios, we have Genesis, and being set ablaze by Gehenna, which was a place of fires around Jerusalem that they sacrificed, and through their garbage, different things that they did in this place of fires in Gehenna. Verse 7, Pasagar physis therion te, ke petinon or petonte, ke enalion dhamazete, ke dedamaste ti physi ti anthropini. For every feces, a species or of nature, species is italics, but it's obvious from the context, a species of nature makes sense. In the feces, we have physio as a prefix for nature, physiology, study of nature. For every species of nature both of wild beasts and of petinon, birds, we have the English derivative with this pet Petro has to do with wing. Helicopter, pete, has to do with a wing or a bird whenever you see this pete. Both of reptiles, erpetone, we have herpes, a viral disease causing eruptions of the skin, herpetology, study of reptiles, and marine life is tamed and has been tamed by the anthropene, anthropology, mankind, human physi, nature, again, physio. 3:18 de glosson udis dinante anthropon thamase akatasketon kakon mestiiu thanatiforu. But the glosson, the tongue, no one is able, dinate, dynamic, of man to tame. It is an unrestrained kakon, kakas, bad, evil. It's full of poison, causing death, virus, the EU in there, virus and poison. There's a correlation, it's a derivative. Virus is a derivative. The tongue is able, no one is able to tame. I can affirm that, and causes a lot of problems for myself and a lot of other people, saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, and sometimes it can cause death spiritually or physically to people by hurting them or saying something that was obviously a lie, and in a courtroom could cause somebody death by just something coming from the tongue. And of course the tongue is a figure of speech. It's you don't really tame the tongue. I mean, you don't sit there and put a bit around it and guide it somewhere, lasso it or ride it. So it's a figure of speech. The tongue is most of the places in the Bible, this glosson is a figure of speech. It's not literally. It's a tongue, yes, but basically it has to do with no one's able to tame speech, and that thing that comes from out of the inside of us, and this thought that's in our psyche, inside of us, whatever causes us to live, takes form in our brain and becomes the brain takes over and becomes neurons, however the thought process is sent through the nerves, and it comes down into this, it comes down into the tongue, and it also comes down into the lungs, and we don't generally use our tongue when we're to speak when we're inhaling, but it's when we're exhaling that this air passes over the tongue, and the tongue and the air causes a vibration of the air, and the air vibration goes through the atmosphere of the air in front of us, and it goes into an ear of a person, and they have the tympanium and the different parts of the ear, and that vibrates, and that vibration goes through the nervous system into the brain. The brain says what it is, and our spirit reacts, or the other person's spirit reacts and causes something. So the spirit is the thing that it's almost it's very difficult to restrain, because it comes out and does things at times, takes over when we don't even know it. All of a sudden we do something or we say something, and it happens so fast, and it's inside of us somehow, and we really don't even realize it until it's too late to, oh, I said the wrong thing. Why did I say that? How can I take it back? And we go through all this. In verse 9, en avti evlogumen ton theon ke patera, ke en avti katarometha tus anthropus, tus kath omiosin theu gegonotas. In it, or by it, we bless, eulogize, extol in speech is a derivative, theon, theology, God, and patera, father, paternal. And by it we curse, anthropus, anthropology, men. The men, the ones who are born, one, gegonotas, who are born according to the likeness of Theou, of God, theology. This homeosine only appears in one other place as far as relating to God, and it's in Genesis 1:26. If you'd open up that, it says, "And God said, let us make man according to our image and according to likeness," the homeosin. We're born, it says in Genesis and here, born according to the likeness. This is actually a quotation of Genesis 1:26. We are born in this likeness of God. I'm sure volumes could be written on how we are in this likeness of God. Is it physical, or is it, as I was mentioning before, this thought process that we have been given that God allows us to have, that our bodies can use it, but we're going to be given other bodies when we cross over from this life to the next life. We'll be given bodies made by God for that purpose to the ones that believe. And I believe this is what the likeness is. I don't think it's physical. Maybe it talks in many places. God had lips and the hand of God and things like that. I mean, Jesus, of course, is God in human flesh, but other places it says no one can see God and live, and God was a consuming fire and these other things. So I don't think the God in the fullness is walking around and looks like somebody. I doubt it. And verse 10, it continues, "Ek tu avtu stomatos exercite evlogia ke katara, u kri adelphimu tavta utos geneste." So we're in the likeness of God, but yet we bless God, and then the Father, and then we curse men. We curse God too. So both of these can come out of us, of this person that we are in this world. Apparently, the angels had free will because they were able to leave their designated place, and Jesus says he saw Satan falling from the sky. And I don't know if that's possible for Satan and for these demons and people that are the beings that followed Satan to actually curse God. And apparently they could. But so this is within us right now, this ability to curse God and bless at the same time. In verse 11, does the spring from out of the same opening gush forth the sweet and the bitter? The glyki, as we have glycos, sugar, and glyco, prefix for sugar, and the pikron, the bitter, piquant, is piercing or stinging. No. The answer to that is, does it? No. You either have good water or you have bad water. 3:12, mi dhinate adelphimu siki eleas pise e ampelosica utos udamia pigi alikon ke gliki pise ethor. And is the fig tree able, my brethren, to produce olives? Able, dhinate, the dynamic again, the power. To elea, we have oil, oleo, olea. To produce, 4160, the verb to make or do. Or a grapevine to produce figs? No, they don't. I mean, you can graft things and have weird fruits, but basically the answer is no. If you have a fig tree, figs are normally produced on it. In a grapevine, you would have grapes. And thus, no one, or not one, spring is able to produce, P, say again, 4160, a glyki, and salty water, either hydro is hydro is the English derivatives for either water. The ha sound with the beginning vowel, as I mentioned, and again all the highlighted blue numbers in this chapter of James are the genitive articles of possession. uh, from out of the same, of the same. And many prepositions will go with, some prepositions go with certain types of articles in the genitive or in the accusative or in the nominative or in the dative, and or not the nominative but the dative and the accusative, and these prepositions go along with these certain definite articles. Sometimes one preposition can go along with maybe two or three. They can go along with the genitive and the dative and the accusative. And in each case, whichever the definite article is, then it changes the meaning of the preposition. But the rules are there, but when you translate it into English, a lot of times you just can't go along with these rules. But just to let you know, in these this chapter, the blue or the genitive of the possession, our direction from, in this case is from. It's actually of, from out of the same opening. It is a possessive here rather than a direction, actually. Does it produce bitter and sweet? And the answer is no. It's either one or the other. 3:12. Mi dhinate adelphimu si ki ileas. We went over. I'm sorry. And so we went over that. So to produce a fig tree, no, are the salty water can that produce that? The spring is not able to do both. And we continue in verse 13. Tis sophos ke epistemon en imin, dixato ek tis kalis anastrofis ta erga aftu in praetiti, Sophias. Well, then who is wise? Sophos, we have, it has to do with wisdom, philosophy, sophos. Who is wise and intelligent among you? Who could be either a question or a statement. The one who is tis. If we get into the tis, we'll explain that a little more then. Let him show out of the good, possessive of the good behavior, his works, ergonomics, in gentleness. There we have the diarese, so it's not prav-tt, but pra-e-tt, of wisdom, Sophias again. In gentleness of wisdom, let him show the good behavior of his works. So again, we're in this word works is being brought up from, we had it in the first chapter, the second chapter about doing the good works. Ide zilon pikron ekate ke erithion inti cardia imon mi katakahaste ke psevthaste katatis alithias. But if you have a bitter, pikron, again, piquant was a derivative, jealousy, zelon, zeal. If you have bitter zeal and contention in your cardiac, has to do with the heart, do not glory over and lie against the truth. So you have to take control of yourself. And then when you have a control over yourself, what comes out in your mouth will not be something wild. And the Holy Spirit is in there to help us in all these ways and to guide us. But we need to stay in the Word and keep the fire of the Holy Spirit burning. And this is what we're here for in this life, to help other people, not to have our tongues wagging and saying bad things. So do not glory and lie against the truth. The psev, the pseudo is English derivative. Kata, you have a prefix English or down or against. Catacomb, a cataclysm, an inundation against. 3:15. Uk estin afti e Sophia anothen, kater homeni, al epigios psychiki diamoniothis. This is not the wisdom coming down from above. So we need the wisdom coming down from above, the Sophia. If we don't have that, it's our earthly, the epigios, our physical. We have this direct transliteration from Greek, psyche to physical, daimoniodis, daimonical, daimon, a demon, demoniacal. And coming down from above, the anothen, we mentioned that before, from above, it's not again, it was born again, but over and over again as you start seeing this word anothen, then I think you'll come to realizing the part where it says being born again. Jesus was talking to Nicodemus just isn't right. It's being born from above. And this is what it's talking about here, this wisdom from above. There is a polygonesios, being born again in Peter, but it's not the same word. And it continues, but this wisdom is earthly, physical, demoniacal. Verse 16, opugar zelos ke erithia eki akatastasia ke pan favlon pragma. For where there is zeal, jealousy, and contention, there is commotion, and every heedless pragmatist, one skilled in affairs or matters, a matter, practical, has to do with a thing. Heedless matter could be. Verse 17, Ide anothen Sophia proton men agni estin, epita eriniki, epiikis, ev pithis, mesti eleos, ke karpon, agathon, adiakritos, ke anipokritos. But the wisdom from above, the Sophia, from above, anothen, first, proton, is or protos, first, indeed is pure. That's the wisdom that's given to us from above, and we need to have this kind of wisdom in us, not the physical thing that comes out of us and reacting and saying things without thinking. But we need the wisdom from above. We pray that we will all be given this, imparted this wisdom. And what is it? It's thereupon, it's peaceable. Irene, I could have highlighted this one. Irene, peaceable, is lenient. It obeys readily. It's not wants its own way and wants to be the boss and revolts against authority. It's full of mercy. Eleus, Elimosini, Kyrie eleison, the derivatives, and of good fruits. Carpone, carpo is English word prefix for fruits. It's of good fruits. So if you see a lot of bad things happening with people, you can question you see bad fruits. We may not be judges, but I think we're fruit inspectors, and we can see whenever there's a bad fruit, then there's something wrong there. If what's coming out is bad fruit, and ourselves or others. It's impartial and unpretentious. In 3:18, karpos theis, and fruit of righteousness, dikiasinis in Irene, spirite tis piusin Irene, of righteousness in peace, in Irene, again Irene is sown, to the ones, piusin, making, doing, the doer, the poet, Irene, the one doing peace. So we want to be in the likeness of God, and that likeness comes to us from above, and it comes into our psyche, and from there we take over. We're given the free will to do what we want with this imparting of the likeness of God into our being. We can make use of it and do the good thing, or I suppose we can revolt and be like the demons and Satan that left the domain. And I pray that we will make use of the wisdom from above, and all of us will be benefited from it, and the people around us, our family and our loved ones and our friends. And we will be starting the 4th chapter in the next seminar, and hope to see you then. And God bless.